The phone was still glowing when they found her. Screen cracked like a spiderweb, battery at 67%, TikTok app frozen on a woman's face. The same face now pressed against cold marble, surrounded by blood that had already started to darken. The video had been live for 10 hours. View count 2.8 million and climbing. In 58 seconds of calm testimony, a Filipina woman had exposed a Sheikh's hidden empire, 3 wives, for secret children, a conspiracy of lies. She'd posted it at 11:47 p.m., believing she had time to escape, time to negotiate, time to save her brother. She was wrong. Her name was Samantha Ocampo, 28 years old, a digital archivist who'd traded 3 years of her life for her autistic brother's medical care. She'd married a man she didn't love, lived in a cage she couldn't escape, and when she discovered truths that could destroy him, she did the only thing desperation allows. She pressed upload. By dawn, she was dead at the bottom of 12 marble steps in a villa worth $12 million. The police would call it suspicious. The forensics would call it murder. But the truth was simpler and more terrible. When you expose a powerful man in a country built on secrets, you don't just disappear. You get disappeared. This is how a viral video became a death sentence. How truth became fatal. How a woman who spent her entire life invisible became impossible to ignore, because she died proving that silence is survival, and speaking costs everything. October 10, 2023, 9:47 a.m. Detective Sarah Al-Mansouri was finishing coffee when the call came. Hysterical housekeeper, barely coherent, something about a body in Villa 47, Palm Jumeirah. She arrived at 10:23 to find a crime scene that looked like an accident but felt like murder. The victim lay crumpled at the bottom of an interior staircase. White marble steps veined with gold, each one polished mirror bright. The body's position was wrong. Left leg bent backward. Right arm trapped beneath torso. Neck twisted at an angle that made Al-Mansouri's stomach turn. White cotton nightgown. Barefoot. Long black hair fanned across marble. Blood pooled beneath her skull where it had struck the corner of step 12. Late 20s Filipina, beautiful in that terrible way the newly dead sometimes are. But what caught Al-Mansouri's attention was the phone lying 8 feet away. She pulled on latex gloves, lifted the device carefully. TikTok app open. Video paused on the victim's face. Same woman, alive, eyes holding equal parts desperation and defiance. Al-Mansouri pressed play. The woman spoke Tagalog with English subtitles. Her voice was eerily calm. Sheikh Karim Al-Bader has 3 wives. I am wife number 2. He has 4 children you've never seen. He promised to help my brother Leo. Leo is autistic. Without treatment he will die. Karim has abandoned us. I have documents, birth certificates, bank records. I will release everything in 24 hours unless he renews Leo's visa. This is not revenge. This is survival. Posted 11:47 p.m., October 9th. 10 hours ago. Al-Mansouri stood slowly, understanding crystallizing. A woman exposes a Sheikh's secrets at midnight. By morning she's dead in his villa. And she was supposed to believe this was an accident? The door to the pool house was locked from inside. Deadbolt engaged, chain secure. But forensics found fresh scratches on the exterior lock plate. Recent installation marks. The kind you make at 3 a.m. when your hands are shaking. Blood spatter told its own story. Most pooled beneath the victim's head, consistent with a fall. But on steps 3 through 5 were secondary patterns, contact stains where someone had stepped in blood. On step 4, someone had tried to wipe it away, gave up when they realized how much evidence they were leaving. Al-Mansouri called for full forensics. Had the villa locked down, every staff member detained separately. Then she went looking for Sheikh Karim Al-Bader. She found him in his study, sitting in a leather chair, staring at nothing. 34, wearing a wrinkled kandura, eyes glassy with opioid fog. When Al-Mansouri entered, he didn't seem surprised. Just looked at her like he'd been waiting. Your wife is dead, Al-Mansouri said. I know. It was an accident. How do you know it was an accident? What else would it be? She fell. The door was locked. She was alone. Al-Mansouri played the TikTok video. Kareem flinched at Sam's voice like hearing a ghost. When did you see this? This morning. Around 9:30. Not last night. No. I took sleeping pills at 11. Al-Mansuri wrote that down, already knowing it was a lie. Your wife exposed your secret families to 3 million people. How did that make you feel? Betrayed. Embarrassed. Angry. Yes. But I was asleep when she fell. How do you know she fell? Al-Mansuri leaned forward. Your head of security was here at 2:51 a.m. So was your lawyer. So was a man named Youssef Mansour you hired 3 weeks ago. They entered the pool house where your wife stayed. 43 minutes later, she was dead. Still think it was an accident. Kareem's hands started trembling. I want my lawyer. You already had him here last night, Al-Mansuri said. Didn't help her much. Forensics painted the picture. Dr. Amina Khalil, the medical examiner, documented everything. Head trauma consistent with striking marble, cervical fracture. Time of death between 2 to 4 a.m. But the bruises told the real story. 4 oval marks on Sam's right upper arm. Finger-shaped. Someone had grabbed her. Linear bruising on her left wrist where someone had twisted or yanked. Defensive wounds on forearms. She'd raised them to protect her face. Skin cells under her fingernails. She'd scratched someone, drawn blood. This wasn't a fall, Dr. Khalil said. This was a fight that ended with a fall. Al-Mansuri stared at those 12 marble steps. The blood started at step 4, which meant Sam had been at the top when it happened. Someone grabbed her. She fought. Then she went down. Not fell. Went. The difference was everything. Samantha Marie Ocampo was born March 15, 1995, in Quezon City, Philippines. Not the tourist version with colonial churches, but the real Manila of concrete apartments and tricycle exhaust and the smell of survival. Her father, Roberto, left for Saudi Arabia when she was 3. Construction foreman. 40,000 pesos monthly, $800. He lived in a labor camp dormitory with 11 men. Shared bathroom, same curry every night. Saw his family twice yearly if he could afford it. Sent money home like clockwork, like penance. Her mother Elena worked as a secretary, made 12,000 pesos monthly, stretched it impossibly far. 1 chicken lasting a week through adobo, soup, fried wings. She ironed Sam's school uniform with precision, brushed her hair 100 strokes nightly, while telling stories about provinces where mangoes grew wild and you could always hear the ocean. When Sam was 8, Elena got pregnant. Surprise, Roberto had been home for Christmas. The pregnancy was difficult. Elena was anemic, exhausted, 38 and working full-time while growing another human. Leonardo was born November 3, 2003. 3 weeks early, tiny, silent. Didn't cry like babies should. Nurses said he was fine, just quiet. But Leo stayed quiet. Didn't babble. Didn't point. Didn't look at faces. When Sam tried playing with him, he'd stare past her at the ceiling fan, hypnotized by spinning blades. By age 2, the diagnosis came: autism spectrum disorder. Nonverbal. Severe sensory issues. He'd need intensive therapy. Speech, occupational, behavioral. The kind the Philippines doesn't provide unless you can pay. 500,000 pesos yearly. $9,000. When Sam was 11, Elena got sick. Lost weight, complained about abdominal pain. By the time they got her to a hospital, cervical cancer had spread everywhere. Stage 4. Chemotherapy might by 6 months. Cost, 200,000 pesos. They didn't have it. Elena died February 14, 2006. Valentine's Day. Sam was 11. Leo was 2 and hadn't spoken. At the funeral, Sam's grandmother Consuelo pulled her aside. You're the 8 now. The big sister. Leo is your responsibility. Your mama is gone. Your papa is in Saudi. You're all he has. Sam was 11 years old. Her childhood ended in a cemetery. From that day, Sam's life revolved around Leo. Wake at 5 a.m. to prepare his breakfast. Plain rice, no sauce, because textures made him gag. Walk him 3 kilometers to special education because they couldn't afford tricycle fare. Sit through therapy sessions learning techniques to practice at home. She gave up everything. Debate team because Leo needed her after school. Sleepovers because he had meltdowns without her. Friends because how do you explain your brother hits himself when overwhelmed and you're the only one who can stop it? She was brilliant despite exhaustion. Straight A's. National Honor Roll. Full scholarship to Diliman. She chose library and information science. Pragmatic, practical. Archivists found work. Digital preservation could be done from home, meaning she could stay close to Leo. Graduated 2016 with 3.7 GPA while working 2 jobs. Sent half her salary to her aging father. Used the other half for Leo's therapies he'd aged out of publicly. Friends tried setting her up on dates. She declined. How do you tell someone you come with a package deal? That your brother is nonverbal and will live with you forever? In 2020, she met Manuel Torres, Filipino-American businessman. He attended her church's fundraiser for Leo, donated 50,000 pesos, asked for her number. For the first time, Sam thought maybe someone could see past Leo. Manuel said all the right things. Family is everything. I want to help. He paid for Leo's therapy, bought him weighted blankets. Sam let herself believe. Then the charm curdled, monitoring her phone, isolating her from friends. And 14 months in, Leo needs institutional care. We can't build a life with him in the way. He's my brother. He's a burden. She left, filed restraining order, but learned what she'd suspected. She was unlovable with Leo attached. By 2021, Leo was 18, aging out of services, condition worsening. Sam researched international programs. Found Bader Pediatric Therapy Center in Dubai. World-class. Could give Leo an actual future. Cost $45,000 yearly. Sam made $320 monthly. Loans denied. Crowdfunding raised $2,000, nowhere close. Medical visas rejected by every Gulf state. Disability discrimination wasn't technically legal but functionally standard. Unless he was a dependent of an Emirati national. That's when Sam found the post. Professional marriage arrangements for visa sponsorship. Compensation and family visa included. She stared at it for 3 days, then replied. And that's how Samantha Ocampo, brilliant and desperate and willing to trade herself for her brother's survival, ended up signing a contract that would kill her. March 12, 2022. Dubai courts, 11 a.m. Sam wore a borrowed abaya. Light blue, too large. Kareem wore a kandura and surgical mask covering half his face. The ceremony lasted 8 minutes. Judge reciting Quranic verses. 2 witnesses signing, Bader al-Dahiri and a notary. Sam and Kareem added signatures. Pronounced husband and wife. Kareem never looked at her. Not during vows, not signing papers, not during the photograph required for visa processing. In the parking lot, he spoke for the first time. Voice flat, medicated. My driver will take you to the villa. I'll contact you when needed. He got into a Mercedes and drove away. Sam stood alone, marriage certificate in hand, feeling like she'd completed a business transaction. She had 3-year lease on her existence. Rent, $2,000 monthly plus Leo's survival. Villa 47 was obscene. 8 bedrooms. Marble everywhere. Her wing, the converted pool house, was bigger than anywhere she'd lived. 2 bedrooms, kitchenette, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking ocean she'd never swim in, and connecting her wing to the main house. A soundproofed corridor with doors that locked from inside. She understood immediately. She wasn't a wife. She was a secret. The first month was ghostly. She barely saw Kareem. He'd leave mornings, return late. His assistant would appear with instructions. Diplomatic dinner Friday, cultural event Tuesday. Sam attended dutifully, stood beside Kareem at receptions. He'd introduce her as my wife, with the inflection you'd use for my accountant. Functional, forgettable. They'd return to the villa and retreat to separate wings without speaking. Leo arrived April 8th. Within 3 months at Bader Center, he signed his first full sentence. I love you 8. Sam told herself this was worth it. 3 years of emptiness for Leo's lifetime of progress. Then July came, and everything changed. Kareem's assistant knocked on a Tuesday. Sheikh, Kareem's iCloud has corrupted. 5 years of data lost. He'll pay $5,000 if you can recover it. Sam spent 3 weeks on recovery. Used software from university disk drill, photorec. Recovered 47,000 files. She sorted by metadata. Date, location, device ID. That's when she opened the first folder. Abu Dhabi NR Personal. Inside, photographs. A blonde woman, late 20s. The woman pregnant. The woman holding an infant. And in dozens, Kareem. His arm around her. Kissing her. Holding a newborn. Birth certificates followed. Bader Khalil Al-Bader, born May 3, 2019. Father, Kareem Al-Bader. Mother, N. Romanova. Amira Natalia Al-Bader, born November 12, 2021. Same parents. Lease for Abu Dhabi apartment. 220,000 dirhams yearly. $60,000. Paid by Kareem. WhatsApp backups. Thousands of messages. Bader asks when Baba is coming home. I'm not your secret. I'm your wife. That last message, March 15, 2022. 3 days after Kareem married Sam. Sam sat back, staring at her reflection. She wasn't wife number 1. She was wife number 2. She should have stopped. Instead, she kept digging. The second folder, Muscat Property LAM. Emails to Layla Al-Mahmoud, Bahraini poet, professor in Oman. Marriage certificate, June 15, 2017, Muscat. Children's records, Zainab, 2017, Omar, 2020. Email from Layla, October 2021. We're not a family. We're a secret you keep. And I'm tired of teaching our daughter this is normal. Sam felt sick. 2 wives before her. For children total. She was wife number 3. 1 more folder remained. Encrypted. Project Mirage. 6 days to crack it. Password. Mama 1959. Inside. IVF clinic records. Surrogacy contract. $30,000. Expected due date. December 15, 2023. But buried deeper. Kareem's medical history. Childhood mumps. Age 12. Result. Complete infertility. Permanent. Kareem couldn't biologically father children. Which meant Bader, Amira, Zainab, Omar, none could be his. Project Mirage made sense. His desperate attempt for 1 genetic child. Except if completely sterile, even IVF required donor sperm. The baby would be someone else's entirely. A mirage. Sam closed the laptop. She held information that could destroy him. She should have felt powerful. Instead, terrified. Sam created 3 backup copies. USB 1. Hidden in Leo's therapy room. USB 2. Mailed to Maria Santos, journalist friend in Manila. USB 3. Hidden in tampon box in her bathroom. Insurance only. She never planned to use them. But 6 weeks later, Kareem cut Leo's funding. Told Sam her utility had expired. Threatened to deport her brother where he'd lose all progress. Sam realized begging wouldn't work. Silence meant Leo's death. She remembered the evidence. And made a choice that would cost everything. She decided to speak. September 15, 2023. 4:17 p.m. Sam was sitting in the clinic director's office at Bader Pediatric Therapy Center when her world collapsed for the second time in her life. Dr. Hesse Al-Nakbi, 53, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, the woman who'd supervised Leo's miraculous progress for 18 months, looked genuinely pained as she slid the invoice across her desk. Ms. Ocampo, I'm sorry to have to discuss this, but Leo's account is significantly overdue. This month's fees, 18,500 dirhams. That's $5,040. We've contacted Sheikh Al-Bader's office 4 times. No response. Sam felt the floor drop beneath her. That's impossible. My husband handles the payments automatically. There must be a mistake. Dr. Al-Nakbi's expression said there was no mistake. If we don't receive payment by month's end, we'll have no choice but to pause treatment. And Ms. Ocampo, Leo's residency visa is tied directly to his active patient status here. If treatment pauses, the The visa becomes invalid within 30 days. The words hit Sam like physical blows. Pause treatment. Invalid visa. 30 days. She'd heard this language before. Bureaucratic softness wrapping around a knife. What Dr. Al-Nakbi was really saying, your brother will be deported. Everything he's gained will be lost. And it's happening in 2 weeks. Sam left the office, walked to the bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and threw up. That evening, she did something she'd never done before. She called Kareem directly. The phone rang 8 times. No answer. She called his assistant. Professional deflection. Sheikh Al-Bader is unavailable at present. She texted Kareem, Leo's visa is at risk. Answer me now. 6 hours of silence. Finally, at 11:20 p.m., a text arrived. Come to main house tomorrow. 10 a.m. Sam didn't sleep that night. Just sat at her window watching the ocean turn from black to gray, rehearsing what she'd say, how she'd beg, what promises she'd make. Anything to keep Leo safe. September 16th, 10 a.m. Sam entered the main house for the first time in months. Found Kareem in his majlis, formal sitting room, sprawled on cushions, eyes glassy with opioid fog. She knelt in front of him, literally knelt. Please, Leo needs treatment. You promised. That was our deal. Kareem looked at her like he'd forgotten who she was. Then, the contract is over. I'm terminating it early. We have 18 months left. Read the fine print. I can terminate with 30 days notice for financial hardship. You have until October 15th to vacate. I'll cover 1 month of Leo's treatment as severance. After that, you're on your own. Sam felt something crack inside her chest. He'll die without this treatment. You promised. Promises expire. Kareem's voice was flat, dead. So does your usefulness. He stood and walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't even have the decency to watch her break. Sam sat alone in that majlis for 20 minutes. Then she returned to her wing, locked the door, and made a decision. She was done begging. If Kareem wouldn't honor his promises, the world would know exactly who he was. September 16th through October 6th. 20 days of preparation. 20 days of Sam transforming from victim into weapon. She'd spent months sitting on evidence of Kareem's secret families. Insurance, she'd told herself. Protection. But insurance only works if you're willing to file the claim. Now she was filing. But not recklessly. Sam was an archivist, methodical, precise. If she was going to expose Kareem, she'd do it right. She'd do it in a way he couldn't bury, couldn't deny, couldn't escape. First decision, delivery method. Not police. They'd side with an Emirati national over a foreign domestic worker. Not Philippine embassy. Too slow, too bureaucratic, too easy for Kareem to suppress through connections. Not traditional media. Editors could be pressured, stories could be killed before publication. TikTok. The platform was perfect. Viral potential measured in hours, not days. Algorithm favored shocking content. Young international audience more likely to side with underdog narratives. Screenshot culture meant once posted, the content lived forever across platforms. And most importantly, Dubai's government obsessed over social media. Viral scandals threatened the carefully curated image of the city as safe, modern, tolerant. If Sam went viral, the government itself would pressure Kareem to respond. Second decision. Not revenge, but leverage. Sam didn't want to destroy Kareem. She wanted Leo's visa renewed. So the video would be an ultimatum, not an exposure. Release the evidence as threat, not action. Give Kareem 24 hours to negotiate. Only if he refused would the full documents go public. It was a gamble, but it was the only card she had left. September 17th. Sam walked to Carrefour at City Center Dara. Paid cash for a prepaid phone, 199 dirhams, $54. No ID required for activation. Activated it using McDonald's free Wi-Fi, never connecting to her home network. September 18th. Created the TikTok account. Username at Dubai Ghostwife. Email ghostwifeexp@protonmail.com. Encrypted. Anonymous. VPN routed through Singapore servers. Profile picture, black screen. Bio empty. 0 followers. 0 videos. Just a ghost waiting to speak. September 19th through October 5th. She wrote the script. 17 drafts over 2 weeks. Each one refined, sharpened, stripped of emotion until only facts remained. The final version was 58 seconds. Short enough for maximum algorithmic reach. Long enough to be devastating. Written in Tagalog, her power language, the tongue of her childhood and her rage. English subtitles for international audience. Tone calibrated perfectly. Not angry, not hysterical. Calm, desperate, factual. She memorized every word. October 6th, 11 p.m. Sam stood in her bathroom. Harsh fluorescent lighting washing out her face, emphasizing the dark circles under her eyes, the exhaustion carved into her features. She wore a plain white tunic, modest, nurse-like, victim aesthetic. Hair pulled back tight. No makeup. Raw. Authentic. She propped her phone on the sink counter. A level angle. Close-up framing showing every micro-expression, every tremor. She'd filmed 14 practice takes earlier. The first 5 she cried, unusable, looked unstable. The next 4, she was too angry, sounded vindictive rather than desperate. Takes 10 through 12 she dissociated, looked drugged, flat. Take 13 almost worked. Stumbled on one word. Take 14 was perfect. She pressed record for the final time. The video began with her face filling the frame. Eyes staring directly into camera. Voice steady, haunted. AKOSI wife number 2. I am wife number 2. The Tagalog hit different than English would have. More intimate. More real. Sheikh Kareem Al-Bader has 3 wives. I am the second. He has 4 children you have never seen. 2 sons in Abu Dhabi with a Russian woman. 2 more children in Oman with a Bahraini poet. He is expecting a 5th baby in December through a Filipino surrogate. She paused. Let that sink in. He promised to help my brother. Leo is autistic. He will die without treatment in the Philippines. Kareem gave Leo a medical visa paid for world-class therapy. For 18 months, Leo has been getting better. Learning to communicate. Learning to live. Her voice cracked slightly. Perfect. Not manufactured, genuine emotion breaking through control. Last week, Kareem stopped paying for Leo's treatment. Cut off his medical funding without warning. Leo's visa expires October 31st. If Kareem doesn't renew it, my brother will be deported. He will lose everything he has gained. He will suffer. Another pause. Eyes never leaving camera. I have documents. Birth certificates for all 4 children. Bank records showing payments to shell companies. Property deeds in Abu Dhabi and Oman. Hospital records. WhatsApp messages where Kareem calls these women his wives. Calls these children his sons and daughters. I have everything. Now her voice dropped lower. More dangerous. I will release all documents in 24 hours. Every file. Every photo. Every proof. Unless Sheikh Kareem Al-Bader renews my brother's medical visa and treatment funding. This is not revenge. This is survival. Kareem, you have until tomorrow midnight. Save my brother, or the world sees everything. She held the stare for 3 more seconds, then reached forward and stopped recording. 58 seconds exactly. She watched it back once. Her hands were shaking. The video was perfect. Devastating and human and impossible to ignore. She opened TikTok, uploaded the video, added hashtags. Hashtag Dubai, hashtag UAE, hashtag secret families, hashtag OFW, hashtag justice. Caption. When the powerful lie, the powerless must speak. Her finger hovered over the post button. This was the point of no return. Once posted, she couldn't take it back. Once viral, Kareem would know. His family would know. The world would know. And Kareem would respond. She thought about Leo. His smile when he'd signed I love you for the first time. His progress. His future. She pressed post. 11:47 p.m. October 6th, 2023. The video went live. Sam set her phone down. Changed into dark clothes, black jeans, black hoodie, running shoes. Packed an emergency bag. Passport, cash, USB drive, change of clothes, Leo's photo. Her plan, monitor the video for 2 hours. If it gained traction, leave the villa at 2 a.m. during night shift change when fewer staff were awake. Take a taxi to Philippine embassy. Request protective custody. Wait for Kareem's response. If he agreed to renew Leo's visa, she'd delete the video, deactivate the account, disappear into Manila with her brother. If he refused, the documents would auto-release through her dead man's switch system. Either way, by dawn she'd be gone. She set an alarm for 1:45 a.m. lay on her bed fully dressed. Phone in hand. Watched the view count climb. 47 views. First minute. 238 views. 5 minutes. 1,052 views. 15 minutes. By midnight, 10,000 views. Comments flooding in. OMG, is this real? Sister, run now. This is going to blow up. You're so brave. You're going to get yourself killed. That last comment made Sam's stomach twist. By 12:30 a.m., 50,000 views. Gulf News junior reporter tweeted about it. Al Jazeera Arabic posted a screenshot. By 1 a.m., 150,000 views. Going viral across Filipino expat networks, Arab women's forums, international news aggregators. Sam checked her dead man's switch. Clicked. I'm alive. Reset timer for next check-in. 1 a.m., October 8th. 24 hours from now. If she didn't check in, if she was dead or detained or incapacitated, the emails would auto-send to Maria Santos, Interpol, and Kareem's mother. Insurance. By 2 a.m., 200,000 views. Sam stood, grabbed her bag. Time to leave. She unlocked her door, stepped into the corridor, and heard footsteps, heavy boots, multiple people, coming from the main house toward her wing. Sam's heart stopped. She ran back inside, locked the door, engaged the deadbolt and chain, grabbed her phone. No signal. Were they jamming it? Or just bad reception? She couldn't call for help. The footsteps reached her door. Pounding. Male voice. Ayman, Kareem's head of security. Mrs. Albater, open the door. Sam backed toward the stairs leading to her bedroom. Maybe she could barricade herself upstairs. Maybe. The pounding intensified. We know you're awake. Sheikh Albater needs to speak with you. She didn't answer, just kept backing up. Then she heard it. The sound of the deadbolt breaking. Metal grinding against metal. They were forcing entry. Sam turned and ran up the stairs. She made it to the top. Turned to look back. 3 men entered her wing. Ayman, Bader al-Dahiri, Kareem's lawyer. And a third man, large, silent, ex-military build. Ayman looked up at her. Ma'am, please come down. Let's talk reasonably. Get out. Sam's voice cracked. I'll call the police. With what phone? Al-Dahiri smiled. We've jammed the signal. Just come talk to Sheikh Kareem. He's willing to negotiate. Sam gripped the railing. I have evidence. If anything happens to me, it goes to journalists, police, his mother. The whole world will know. Yes, we're aware. Al-Dahiri's voice was patient, condescending. That's exactly why we need to talk. Come willingly, or we'll carry you. Sam looked at the 3 men, at the 12 marble steps between her and them, at her phone in her hand showing 250,000 views and climbing. She made a choice. She tried to run past them down the stairs, tried to break through, get to the door, get outside where someone might see. Ayman grabbed her arm, hard, fingers digging in. She screamed, twisted, scratched at his face. The third man, Yusuf, moved to block her. She bit his hand, drew blood, tasted copper. He shoved her, and she fell. 12 steps. Her shoulder hit step 4. Her hip hit step 7. Her head struck the corner of step 12. Crack. Silence. Sam lay at the bottom of the stairs, blood pooling beneath her skull. Eyes half open. Phone still in her hand. Screen cracked but glowing. TikTok app still open. View count, 287,429. The three men stood frozen at the top of the stairs. Ayman whispered, "Ya Allah, she's not moving." Al-Dahiri, "Check her pulse." Youssef descended slowly, knelt, pressed fingers to her neck. "Nothing. She's dead," he said. At 2:54 a.m., October 7, 2023, Samantha Ocampo died trying to save her brother. The video kept playing on her cracked phone screen. By dawn, it would have 2.8 million views. But Sam would never know, because the men who killed her were already staging the scene, replacing the broken lock, wiping blood off the steps, calling Kareem to tell him the problem was solved. And in Manila, Leo was sleeping peacefully, dreaming of his sister, not knowing he'd never see her again. October 7th, 11:30 a.m. Dubai Police CID had separated every household staff member into different rooms. Detective Al-Mansouri started with the person who'd found the body. Liza Fernandez, 43, Filipina, domestic worker for Kareem for 2 years. She was still shaking when Al-Mansouri sat down across from her. "Tell me what you saw this morning." Liza's voice was barely audible. "I found her at the bottom of the stairs. So much blood. I knew immediately she was dead." "Why did you go to the pool house?" "I saw her video last night on TikTok." Liza looked up, tears streaming. "It was everywhere in our Filipino groups. Everyone was sharing it. I recognized her immediately. I was worried. I wanted to check if she was okay." "Did you see or hear anything unusual last night?" "No, ma'am. I sleep in staff quarters far from the pool house. But this morning, before I found her." Liza hesitated. "What?" "I saw Ayman, the security chief, replacing the lock on her door. Around 8:30. He told me to go away. I thought it was strange." Al-Mansouri wrote that down. "Strange how? Why replace a lock the same morning someone dies? Unless..." Liza didn't finish. She didn't have to. 1 p.m. Ayman Sarhan, 41, Egyptian, former military police. Kareem's head of security for 6 years. He sat calmly, professional, trained not to show emotion. "Liza says she saw you replacing the pool house lock this morning," Al-Mansouri said. "Yes, Mrs. Albader complained yesterday about a broken lock. I replaced it this morning." "Before or after you knew she was dead?" "Before. I didn't know anything was wrong until Liza found her." "What time did you replace it?" "Around 8:30. Al-Mansouri pulled out forensics photos. These metallic shavings on the floor tested positive for fresh drilling. But the pattern indicates they were made between 2 o'clock and 4 a.m. Not 8:30 a.m. Care to revise your timeline. Ayman's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. "Where were you between 2 o'clock and 4 a.m.? "Asleep. At my apartment." Villa security footage shows your SUV entering the property at 2:39 a.m., leaving at 3:58 a.m. "Why did you lie?" Ayman leaned back. "I want a lawyer." 3 p.m. Bader Al-Dahiri, 52, Emirati lawyer. Reputation for making problems disappear. He sat with the posture of someone who'd done this before. Confident. Untouchable. "What was your relationship with the deceased?" Al-Mansouri asked. "I facilitated her marriage contract with Sheikh Al-Bader. Standard legal services." "Were you at Villa 47 last night?" "No." Al-Mansouri slid a printed screenshot across the table. Security footage timestamp. 2:43 a.m. Al-Dahiri's Mercedes entering the villa gate. "Want to try again?" Al-Dahiri didn't even blink. "I was called to assist with a legal matter after Mrs. Al-Bader's unfortunate accident. I arrived after she fell." The footage shows you arriving at 2:43. The medical examiner estimates she died between 2:30 and 3 o'clock. So you arrived while she was either dying or freshly dead. Quite a coincidence. "I'm a lawyer. I don't discuss client confidentiality. Your client's wife is dead." Confidentiality ended when her heart stopped. Al-Dahiri smiled thinly. "Then I suppose we have nothing more to discuss without my own attorney present." 5 p.m. Youssef Mansour, 36, Emirati, former Special Forces. Hired by Kareem 3 weeks ago through Al-Dahiri. He was large, silent, with the cold eyes of someone who'd done violence professionally. "Were you at the villa last night?" Al-Mansuri asked. "Yes." "Why?" "Security assessment." Sheikh al-Badr had concerns about property vulnerabilities. "At 3 a.m.? The Sheikh keeps irregular hours." "Did you interact with Mrs. al-Badr?" "No." Al-Mansuri pulled out another photo. Close-up of Yusef's right hand. Deep crescent-shaped bite mark. Fresh. Maybe 12 hours old. "How did you get that?" "Dog bite. This morning." "Funny. We found skin cells under Mrs. al-Badr's fingernails. We found your DNA. We also found traces of your skin on her nightgown where someone grabbed her shoulder." "And that bite mark?" Al-Mansuri leaned forward. "Our forensics team is matching it to her dental records right now." "Want to tell me again how you didn't interact with her?" Yusef's expression didn't change. "Lawyer." 7 p.m. Sheikh Karim al-Badr. Interviewed at the villa, diplomatic courtesy. He looked terrible. Medicated. Hollow-eyed. Defeated. "Tell me about your relationship with your wife," Al-Mansuri said. "It was contractual. She married me for her brother's medical visa. I needed a wife for diplomatic purposes. It was mutually beneficial." "Did you love her?" "No. It wasn't that kind of marriage." "Were you aware she posted a video exposing your secret families?" "My assistant told me this morning. I was asleep when she posted it." "You took sleeping pills at 11 p.m.? "Yes." "Kitchen staff saw you awake at 3:47 a.m., pouring whiskey in the kitchen." "Which is it?" Karim closed his eyes. "I woke up. Couldn't sleep. Took a drink." "Your phone records show you called Ayman at 2:37 a.m., called Al-Dahiri at 2:38 a.m. You also sent a text to Al-Dahiri at 2:51 a.m. Al-Mansuri read from her notes. "Bring Yusef. She needs to be dealt with." "What did you mean by dealt with?" "I meant talk to. Convinced to delete the video." "And when talking didn't work? When she fought back? What then?" Karim opened his eyes. They were wet. "I didn't want her to die. I just wanted her to stop. I wanted the problem to go away. She wasn't a problem. She was a person." "I know." His voice broke. "I know that now." October 7th to 12th. Forensics built the case piece by piece. Dr. Khalil's full autopsy report confirmed what they'd suspected. Cause of death was cervical fracture and massive head trauma consistent with falling downstairs. But the bruising, the grab marks, the defensive wounds, all pointed to a struggle immediately before the fall. DNA evidence was damning. Yusef's skin under Sam's fingernails. Her saliva on his hand matching the bite. Mark perfectly. Ayman's boot print in blood on step 4. Fibers from tactical gloves on her nightgown matching gloves found in Ayman's vehicle. Cell phone records sealed it. Karim's calls to Ayman and Al-Dahiri at 2:37 to 2:38 a.m. His text at 2:51. "Bring Yusef. She needs to be dealt with." Security footage showed all 3 men entering the pool house at 2:51 a.m., exiting at 3:42 a.m., carrying cleaning supplies. But it was Sam's phone that told the final story. Forensics recovered her browsing history from days before. She'd researched Philippine embassy addresses, domestic violence shelters, one-way flights to Manila. She'd been planning to escape. She just ran out of time. October 9th, 1:15 a.m., 48 hours after Sam's last check-in. Her dead man's switch activated automatically. 3 emails sent simultaneously. Manila, 1:15 a.m. Maria Santos woke to her phone buzzing. Email from Sam's encrypted address. Subject: From Sam. Open if you don't hear from me. Maria's hands shook as she opened it. Maria, if you're reading this, I'm either dead or detained. Karim al-Badr has 3 wives, 4 children, all hidden. He destroyed my life and Leo's future. I have evidence. 247 files attached. Publish everything. Make them care. Tell Leo the first love him. Sam. Maria spent 8 hours verifying documents, cross-referencing names, dates, locations. Everything checked out. By 6 p.m. Manila time, 9 a.m. Dubai time, she published. Rappler headline: Filipina who exposed UAE Sheikh's secret families found dead hours after viral TikTok. 6,200 words. Complete evidence dump. Timeline reconstruction. Suspicions of foul play. Within 2 hours, 1.2 million reads. Picked up by BBC, Al Jazeera, CNN, The Guardian, Philippine Star. The story exploded globally. Interpol received the second email. Financial Crime Unit opened a case file. Contacted Dubai police requesting cooperation. But UAE sovereignty laws complicated everything. Sheikh Amina, Karim's mother, received the third email. Subject line in Arabic, "Your son's shame." She read it alone in her majlis. Every document, every proof, every betrayal. She called her eldest son Abdullah, not Karim, his older half-brother. Family council convened within hours. October 9th, 10 p.m., the family met. Sheikh Amina, Abdullah, 2 uncles, family lawyer. They reviewed everything Sam had sent. Sheikha's face was stone. Her words, "Karim has destroyed our name. He will answer for this." October 12th, 6 a.m. Dubai police issued arrest warrants for 4 men. Sheikh Karim Al-Bader. Second-degree murder, conspiracy, evidence tampering. Ayman Sarhan. Second-degree murder, conspiracy. Bader Al-Dahiri. Accessory to murder, obstruction of justice. Youssef Mansour. Second-degree murder, assault. By noon, 3 were in custody. Karim found in his bedroom, barely conscious from opioids. Ayman arrested at his apartment trying to flee through the balcony. Al-Dahiri arrested at his office, immediately demanding his own lawyer. But Youssef was gone. He'd left UAE October 10th via private flight to Riyadh. Saudi Arabia refused extradition. Interpol issued a red notice, but he remained free. The arrests made international headlines. BBC, UAE royal arrested in death of Filipina who exposed secret families. Al Jazeera, ghost wife murder. How TikTok video led to royal's downfall. CNN Philippines, Samantha Ocampo. Pinay hero silenced for speaking truth. Social media erupted. Hashtag Justice for Sam trended with 4.7 million tweets. Candlelight vigils in Manila drew 50,000 people. In Dubai, 200 Filipino expats held a memorial despite risks. The Philippine president issued a statement demanding full justice. Foreign Affairs Secretary called UAE ambassador. But leverage was limited. 2.3 million OFWs in the Middle East sent billions in remittances home. Philippines couldn't risk economic retaliation. Still, the pressure was immense. And in Alawar Central Jail, Karim sat in a cell, finally sober enough to understand what he'd done. He'd silenced one woman, but her ghost was louder than her voice had ever been. February 14th, 2024. For months after Sam's death. The trial began on Valentine's Day, the same date Sam's mother had died 18 years earlier. The irony wasn't lost on anyone who knew Sam's story. Dubai Criminal Court, Courtroom 3. High ceilings, marble floors, the kind of architectural intimidation designed to remind everyone that justice here operated under different rules than most of the world understood. The gallery was packed. International journalists, Filipino community representatives, human rights observers. Sam's father, Roberto, 65 now, looking 20 years older, sat in the front row. Beside him, an empty seat. For Leo, who couldn't be here, who still didn't fully understand that his sister was never coming home. The prosecution was led by senior prosecutor Fatima Al-Suwaidi, 48, with a reputation for not backing down from powerful defendants. She'd requested this case specifically, told her superiors, "If we don't prosecute this aggressively, every domestic worker in this country will know their lives don't matter." Her opening statement was surgical. Samantha Ocampo came to this country seeking help for her disabled brother. She entered into a contract marriage with Sheikh Karim Al-Bader. A transaction, yes, but a legal one recognized by our courts. She fulfilled every obligation, attended diplomatic functions, maintained discretion, asked for nothing beyond what was promised. Fatima paused, letting that sink in. But when she discovered that her husband had lied, 3 wives, for children hidden, a fifth on the way. When she found evidence of fraud, of deception, of a conspiracy that violated our laws and our values, she made a choice. She spoke. She used the only weapon available to a powerless woman. The truth. Her voice hardened. And for that truth, 3 men broke into her home at 3 in the morning. For that truth, they grabbed her, fought her, and threw her down 12 marble steps. For that truth, Samantha Ocampo died alone on a bathroom floor while these men staged the scene to look like an accident. This is not tragedy. This is murder. And no amount of wealth, status, or family connections will change that fact. The defense attorney Sarhan Al-Mazrouei, Dubai's most expensive criminal lawyer, someone who'd successfully defended 3 members of royal families in previous scandals, stood for his opening. His strategy was immediately clear: shift blame downward. My client, Sheikh Karim Al-Badr, is guilty of poor judgment, of moral failures, of maintaining relationships that violated both his marriage contract and our cultural values. He admits these failures openly. But poor judgment is not murder. Moral failure is not murder. What happened to Mrs. Ocampo that night was a tragic accident caused by employees who exceeded their authority, who acted without instruction, who made terrible decisions in a moment of panic. Al-Mazrouei's voice took on a sympathetic tone. Sheikh Al-Badr sent his security team to speak with Mrs. Ocampo, to negotiate, to convince her to handle this matter privately rather than through social media. That is all. He never, and the prosecution will fail to prove otherwise, he never ordered violence. What happened next was the result of overzealous employees acting beyond their instructions. This is tragedy, yes, but it is not murder. And the prosecution cannot prove intent. The prosecution began methodically. First, establish that this was not an accident. Dr. Amina Khalil took the stand. 62, medical examiner for 18 years, someone who'd testified in dozens of high-profile cases. She walked the jury through Sam's injuries with clinical precision. The victim suffered a cervical fracture at C2 vertebra, commonly called a hangman's fracture, massive subdural hematoma resulting from skull impact at the base of the occipital bone. These injuries are consistent with a fall downstairs, yes. However, she pulled up photographs on the courtroom screens. The victim also presented with 4 distinct oval-shaped contusions on her right upper arm, matching adult male finger patterns. Linear bruising on her left wrist consistent with gripping and twisting. Defensive bruising on both forearms indicating she raised her arms to protect her face. And most significantly, epithelial cells under her fingernails that DNA testing confirmed belonged to Mr. Youssef Mansour. She looked directly at the jury. In my professional opinion, based on 30 years of forensic pathology, Mrs. Ocampo was involved in a physical altercation immediately before her fall. Someone grabbed her. She fought back. She scratched her attacker. And then she fell or was pushed. This was not a woman who tripped alone. This was a woman who died fighting. The defense cross-examined aggressively. Dr. Khalil, is it possible that Mrs. Ocampo grabbed Mr. Mansour's arm for support while falling, and that's how his DNA ended up under her nails? No. The depth of tissue recovered indicates forceful scratching, not incidental contact. She dug her nails into his flesh. That's a defensive action. But you cannot say with certainty that she was pushed, correct? The fall itself is consistent with tripping. The fall itself, yes. But the injuries preceding the fall are not consistent with tripping. They're consistent with assault. Blood spatter analyst Mohammed Al-Farsi testified next. He'd spent 3 days reconstructing the scene using luminol, forensic photography, and trajectory analysis. The primary blood pool at the base of the stairs is consistent with the victim's head wound. However, on steps 3 through 5 we found secondary transfer patterns. Someone stepped in the blood after she fell. Size 44 European shoe print, which matched boots found in Mr. Ayman Sarin's vehicle. Additionally, on step 4, we found partial blood wipes, smear patterns indicating someone attempted to clean the blood with their hand, then abandoned the effort when they realized the scope of contamination. He pulled up enhanced photographs. You can see here where fingers dragged through blood, leaving streaks. This is not accidental transfer. This is active cleanup. Someone tried to erase evidence and failed. The defense again tried to create doubt. Could these smear patterns have been created by emergency responders checking the victim? No. Emergency responders didn't arrive until 10:23 a.m. These blood patterns had already begun to coagulate, which occurs within 30 to 60 minutes of exposure to air. These smears were made within the first hour after the victim fell, long before police arrived. This was where the prosecution's case became devastating. Dubai Police cyberforensics specialist Sarah Al-Nwamy took the stand with a laptop and hundreds of pages of phone records, text messages, and security footage analysis. On October 7th at 2:37 a.m., Sheikh Al-Bader placed a 34-second call to Ayman Sarhan from his personal mobile phone. At 2:38 a.m., he placed a 1-minute 12-second call to Bader Al-Dahiri. At 2:51 a.m., he sent a text message to Al-Dahiri stating, and I quote, "Bring Youssef. She needs to be dealt with." The text appeared on the courtroom screens. In Arabic and English, the phrase "she needs to be dealt with" seemed to glow. At 2:43 a.m., Mr. Al-Dahiri's vehicle entered Villa 47 through the main gate. At 2:39 a.m., Mr. Sarhan's vehicle had already entered through the service entrance. Security footage captured both vehicles clearly. At 2:51 a.m., all three men, Sarhan, Al-Dahiri, and Mansour, entered the pool house where Mrs. Ocampo was staying. Sarah clicked through footage. 3 men walking through the corridor. Timestamps clear. They remained inside for 43 minutes. At 3:42 a.m., they exited carrying cleaning supplies, specifically towels and what appears to be cleaning solution. At 3:58 a.m., Sarhan's vehicle departed. At 4:12 a.m., Al-Dahiri's vehicle departed. She looked at the jury. The victim's time of death, established by rigor mortis and body temperature, was between 2:50 and 3:10 a.m. These 3 men were present during that window. They entered before she died. They left after she died. And they brought cleaning supplies. The defense attorney rose. Ms. Al-Nwamy, the text message says, "Dealt with, not killed." Could that not mean spoken to or reasoned with? It could. If the men had called an ambulance. If they had reported an accident. If they hadn't spent 40 minutes cleaning blood and replacing locks. Their actions after she died tell us what dealt with actually meant. The prosecution played Sam's TikTok video for the jury. 58 seconds of her calm, desperate voice explaining everything. When it ended, several jury members were visibly emotional. One woman was crying. Prosecutor Fatima stood. This video was posted at 11:47 p.m., October 6th. Sheikh Al-Bader claims he didn't see it until morning. But his phone records show he was actively using social media between 11:30 p.m. and 2 a.m. that night. His assistant testified that he personally showed the Sheikh the video at 12:30 a.m. The Sheikh's first response was, and I quote, "Find out how many people have seen this. We need to contain it immediately." She let that hang. By 2:30 a.m., the video had reached 200,000 views. It was going viral. It was out of control. And that's when Sheikh Al-Bader made his calls. That's when he sent the text. That's when 3 men went to deal with the woman who'd exposed him. Ayman Sarhan took the stand first. He decided to cooperate partially in exchange for a reduced sentence recommendation. Sheikh Al-Bader called me at 2:37 a.m. He was panicked. Said his wife had posted something damaging online. Said he needed her phone confiscated. Needed to convince her to delete it. He told me to bring her to the main house so he could talk to her. What happened when you arrived? Ayman's voice was flat, rehearsed. Al-Dahiri and Youssef were already there. We entered the pool house. Mrs. Al-Bader was upstairs. We called for her to come down. She refused. Said she'd call police. Threatened to release more documents. Then what? Youssef went upstairs to retrieve her. He was hired for difficult situations. I thought he'd just carry her down. But she fought. She scratched him, bit his hand. He grabbed her to restrain her and she went down the stairs. It happened so fast. Did anyone push her? Long pause. Youssef grabbed her shoulder. She pulled away, lost her balance. I don't know if he pushed or if she just fell. It happened in seconds. What did you do after she fell? We checked for pulse. There was none. Al-Dahiri said we needed to call Sheikh al-Badr immediately. The Sheikh arrived within 5 minutes. He looked at her and said, "Make this look like she was alone." We panicked. We tried to clean up. Replaced the lock we'd broken to get in. It was stupid. We should have called for help immediately. But we panicked. The defense cross-examined. "Mr. Sarhan, did Sheikh al-Badr at any time instruct you to harm Mrs. Ocampo?" "No. He said to bring her to him to talk. That's all." Badr al-Dahiri refused to testify, invoking his right against self-incrimination. But his earlier police interview was read into the record. I arrived after receiving Sheikh al-Badr's call. When I got there, Mrs. al-Badr had already fallen. I advised the Sheikh on legal implications and assisted in staging the scene to appear as though she'd been alone. I regret that decision deeply, but I was thinking of my client's interests at the time. I did not cause her death. I only attempted to conceal it afterward. Sheikh Karim al-Badr took the stand on March 3rd. The courtroom was absolutely silent. He looked broken. Weight loss made his kandura hang loose. Dark circles under eyes. Hands trembling slightly. Prosecutor Fatima approached him slowly. "You sent a text at 2:51 a.m. stating, 'Bring Youssef. She needs to be dealt with.' What did you mean?" "I meant convinced, persuaded, made to understand that this needed to be handled privately." "Why specify Youssef? Why not just say, 'Bring her to me'?" Youssef was hired for security, for situations that might be difficult. Difficult how? In case she refused to cooperate. In case she needed to be physically brought. So you hired muscle. You sent 3 men to physically force a woman half their size to comply with your demands. And you're surprised it ended in violence. Karim's voice broke. "I didn't want her hurt. I just wanted the video deleted. I wanted the problem to go away. She wasn't a problem. She was a person. A 28-year-old woman who'd kept every promise she made to you while you lied to her every single day. And when she dared to tell the truth, you sent men to silence her. You didn't pull the trigger, but you loaded the gun." Karim started crying on the stand. I know what I did. I'll live with it forever. Mrs. Ocampo won't live with anything. Because she's dead." April 8, 2024. After 7 weeks of testimony and 4 days of deliberation, the jury returned. The courtroom was so quiet you could hear the air conditioning hum. On the charge of second-degree murder, how do you find the defendant Sheikh Karim al-Badr? Guilty. Roberto Ocampo collapsed into sobs. In Manila, watching via live stream, thousands of Filipinos erupted in cheers. On the charge of second-degree murder, how do you find the defendant Ayman Sarhan? Guilty. On the charge of accessory after the fact, how do you find the defendant Badr al-Dahiri? Guilty. Youssef Mansour was tried in absentia. Also found guilty. 25 years if ever apprehended. He remained in Saudi Arabia, untouchable. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. Judge Khalid al-Hashimi, 67, known for harsh sentences, looked at each defendant in turn. Samantha Ocampo came to this country seeking a better life for her brother. She kept her promises. She maintained her discretion until you broke yours. When you threatened her brother's life, she exercised her right to speak. Freedom of speech, even in criticism of powerful men, is not a capital offense. But murder is, and no amount of wealth, status, or family name changes that. He sentenced Karim to 22 years in prison. Ayman to 20 years. Al-Dahiri to 7 years. In the gallery, Roberto whispered to himself, "Justice. Finally, justice." But justice felt empty when Sam was still dead. Late 2024, 18 months after Sam's death. The story didn't end with the verdict. In some ways, it hadn't even begun to end. Because Sam's death changed things, laws, lives, futures. Her ghost kept speaking long after her body was cremated and her ashes scattered in Manila Bay. Sheikh Karim al-Badr sits in Alawar Central Jail, Cell Block D, segregated from general population for his own safety. High-profile prisoners rarely mix with common criminals. Too many variables, too much risk. His daily routine is monotonous. Wake at 5 a.m. for prayer call. Breakfast alone in his cell, plain bread, tea, sometimes fruit if he's lucky. 1 hour outdoor time in a small concrete yard where he walks in circles, saying nothing to the guards, looking at a sky he won't see freely until 2046 when he's 57 years old. His mother hasn't visited once, refuses to acknowledge him. His half-brother Abdullah visited twice, both times to inform him of family decisions being made without his input. His assets frozen. His name removed from family business documents. His younger sister got married last month. He wasn't told until after. Prison psychologist notes, leaked to media 6 months into his sentence. Inmate exhibits narcissistic collapse. Expresses self-pity rather than genuine remorse. States repeatedly, "I was the victim of her blackmail." Shows no insight into his role in creating conditions that led to her death. Prognosis for rehabilitation, extremely poor. He spends most of his time sleeping. Opioid withdrawal was brutal, 3 months of hell before his body adjusted. Now he's clean but dead inside. Reading Quran mechanically. Attending addiction counseling because it's mandatory. Existing without living. The other inmates know who he is, know what he did. Even among criminals, killing your wife for speaking truth carries a stigma. He eats alone, showers alone, will live alone behind bars for 2 decades. Sometimes at night, prison guards report he talks to himself. Always the same words. "I didn't mean it. I didn't mean for her to die." But intent doesn't unbreak necks, doesn't unspill blood, doesn't bring back women you kill because they inconvenience you. Ayman Sarhan is in the same prison, different block. 20-year sentence. He's adapted better than Kareem, ex-military, used to institutional living. Works in the prison workshop, keeps his head down, follows rules. He writes letters to his wife and 3 children in Egypt every week. They stopped responding after month 4. Too much shame, too much gossip in their community. His eldest son, 16, sent one final letter. "You always told me to be a man of honor, but you killed an innocent woman and tried to hide it. How can I respect that? Don't write anymore." Ayman keeps writing anyway. Sends the letters knowing they won't be read. Tells himself someday they'll understand. Deep down knows they won't, shouldn't, can't. He'll be 61 when released. If he survives prison. If his heart lasts. If the guilt doesn't eat him first. Bader al-Dahiri got 7 years for being accessory after the fact. He's in minimum security, white-collar criminal section. Disbarred permanently from practicing law in the UAE. Reputation destroyed. He's the only one who shows genuine remorse. Wrote a letter to Roberto Ocampo 6 months into his sentence. "Mr. Ocampo, no words can express my shame for what I helped conceal. I didn't kill your daughter, but I helped hide her murder. I staged a scene to protect a client instead of calling for help. I chose money over morality. I'm sorry. It's inadequate. It's too late. But it's true. I'm sorry." Roberto never responded. Burned the letter in his backyard while crying. Al-Dahiri will serve his 7 years, get out at 59, and live the rest of his life knowing he valued a billionaire's reputation over a woman's life. That knowledge is its own prison. Yusuf Mansour, the man who actually put hands on Sam, who pushed or shoved or grabbed her in the moment she fell, lives freely in Saudi Arabia. Works private security for a minor Saudi royal family member. Makes excellent money. Has a wife, 2 kids, nice apartment in Riyadh. Interpol Red Notice is active but meaningless. Saudi Arabia refuses extradition for non-terrorism cases. He'll never face justice. He knows it. Everyone knows it. But he has nightmares. His wife mentions them. He wakes up screaming, sweating, saying the same thing over and over. "I didn't push her. She fell. I didn't push her." His brain insists. His hands remember differently. He'll die free. But he won't die innocent. Natalia Romanova returned to Moscow in October 2023 with her 2 children, Bader Jr., now 6, and Amira, now 3. lives in a cramped apartment with her mother in a working-class district far from the ballet studios where she once danced. She works 3 jobs: ballet instructor for children in the mornings, retail clerk afternoons, restaurant hostess evenings. Makes just enough to cover rent, food, childcare. Her children ask about their father. She tells them he's away. Doesn't mention prison. Doesn't mention murder. Doesn't mention that their father's money came from lies that cost a woman her life. She filed paternity suit in Russian courts demanding child support. Karim's lawyers responded with DNA evidence. Neither child is biologically his. Sperm donor. Records show he was infertile. Case dismissed. Natalia broke down in court that day. Realized her entire relationship had been based on lies stacked on lies. The man she thought fathered her children hadn't. The wealth she thought secure was built on fraud. Everything was mirage. She gave one interview to Russian television, December 2023. I was a victim too. Not like Samantha, she died. But we were both used. Both discarded. I think about her every day. About how my comfort came from her suffering. About how while I was living in that apartment with my children, she was locked in a villa dying for her brother. I can't fix it. Can't change it. But I remember. That's all I can do. Her children sometimes see photos of Karim online, news stories, viral posts. Bader Jr. asked recently, "Is that my Baba?" Natalia didn't know how to answer. Eventually said, "That's a man who made very bad choices. We're better off without him." Harsh truth, but truth nonetheless. Layla Al-Mahmoud stayed in Muscat, Oman. Divorced Karim immediately after Sam's story broke. Kept the villa in settlement negotiations. Raises her children, Zainab, now 7, and Omar, now 4. As a single mother while teaching poetry at Sultan Qaboos University. She's the only one who transformed pain into art. Published a poetry collection in 2024 titled, The Ghosts We Marry, with a dedication page. For Samantha Ocampo, who died telling the truth I was too afraid to speak. One poem, titled The Third Wife, ends with these lines. She was the wife I never met, the sister in silence, the mirror I feared to see she spoke, and the glass shattered she died. And I was freed, but freedom bought with her blood tastes like ash in my mouth. The collection won a Gulf Literature Prize. Layla donated all proceeds to the Samantha Ocampo Foundation, established by journalist Maria Santos to provide legal aid for abused OFWs and therapy subsidies for autism families. Layla tells her children the truth in age-appropriate ways. Your father did something very wrong. He hurt people. He lied. We don't lie in this house. We don't hurt people. Ever. Zainab asked last month, did Baba hurt the lady who died? Layla answered, yes, not with his hands. But yes. The girl nodded. Understood more than adults give children credit for. Layla will spend the rest of her life trying to teach her children that being born from lies doesn't make them liars. That they can choose truth even when truth is hard. She hopes they believe her. Some days she's not sure she believes herself. This is the cruelest part. Leo is 21 now. Lives with his grandfather Roberto in Quezon City in the same small apartment where Sam grew up. The apartment still smells like her. Her shampoo lingering in the bathroom. Her clothes still hanging in a closet Roberto can't bring himself to empty. Leo attends a day program for adults with autism. Government-funded, basic services, nothing compared to Bader Center. His therapists say he's regressed. Stopped using most of his sign language. Stopped trying to speak. Sits for hours rocking, humming tunelessly, somewhere else entirely. He knows Sam is gone. The therapists explained it using visual aids, social stories, concrete language. 8 Sam died. She's not coming back. She's in heaven. Leo nodded. Made a sound that might have been acknowledgement. But every evening around 6 p.m., the time Sam used to visit him at Bader Center, he goes to the window and waits. Watches the street. Waiting for her. After 20 minutes, he makes a sound. Not quite crying. Not quite words. Just grief in its purest, most primal form. Roberto watches his grandson wait for a sister who will never come. It breaks him every single time. The Samantha Ocampo Foundation pays for some of Leo's therapy. Crowdfunding from Sam's supporters raised $12,000 in 2024. But it's temporary, unsustainable. When Roberto dies, and he's 65 with high blood pressure and a heart that's given up trying, who takes care of Leo? Sam died to give him a future, but the future still looks uncertain. Still looks like institutions and strangers and a life without the one person who understood him completely. The cruelest irony. Sam sacrificed everything to save Leo, but Leo lost the one thing he needed most. Her. March 2025. UAE legislative changes. Under international pressure and domestic outcry from Emirati women's rights activists, the UAE government passed 3 significant laws collectively known as Samantha's Law. Law 1. Mandatory death reporting. All deaths of domestic workers must be reported to police within 2 hours. Previously, employers could delay reporting for up to 24 hours, allowing time to stage scenes or destroy evidence. Law 2. Independent investigation requirement. All expat deaths in private residences now require third-party forensic review. No more rubber stamp, accidental death, rulings without proper investigation. Law 3. Visa Protection Clause. Dependent visas tied to employment or sponsorship cannot be unilaterally terminated without 90-day notice and court review. Prevents situations like Leo's where medical visas could be canceled overnight as leverage. These laws won't bring Sam back, but they might save the next woman. Might give the next desperate person time to escape instead of die. Filipino community activists estimate these changes could impact 2.3 million OFWs across the Gulf. Make them slightly less vulnerable, slightly more protected, slightly. Progress measured in inches. Lives saved one at a time. October 7, 2025. Second Annual Memorial. Manila, Luneta Park. 2,000 people gather. Candles. Photos of Sam. Filipino flags mixed with signs reading, "Justice for Sam." OFW Lives Matter. Never forget. Roberto Ocampo, now 66, walks slowly to the microphone. Leo beside him, holding his grandfather's hand, silent but present. Roberto's voice shakes. 2 years ago, my daughter died for speaking the truth. She died for loving her brother. She died for refusing to be invisible. Tonight we remember her not as a victim but as a fighter. Because of Samantha, laws changed. Because of Samantha, people pay attention. Because of Samantha, my grandson still has hope. He pauses, tears streaming. But I would trade it all. Every law, every reform, every bit of justice to have her back. Leo would too. Wouldn't you, Leo? Leo doesn't answer with words, but he holds up a drawing, crayon sketch of Sam's face, her smile wide and bright, written in uneven letters, A.T. Sam. Then Leo whispers, first words in months, 8. Miss you. The crowd is silent, many crying. Roberto continues, my daughter was 28 years old. She was brilliant. She was kind. She was tired. And she was brave. She stood up to a man who thought women were disposable. She exposed lies that powerful people wanted buried. And it cost her everything. He looks at the crowd. Don't let her death be meaningless. If you see injustice, speak. If you see abuse, report it. If you see someone suffering, help. Because that's what Samantha would do. That's what she died doing. And we owe her memory more than candlelight. We owe her action. The crowd erupts in applause, chanting, "Justice for Sam! Justice for Sam!" But Roberto just stands there, holding his grandson, both of them staring at a photo of Sam smiling, and he whispers what he's whispered every night for 2 years. I'm sorry, Anik. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. I'm sorry you had to be so brave. I'm sorry you're gone. Leo squeezes his hand. It's all he can offer. It's not enough. Nothing ever will be. Her name was Samantha Ocampo. Say it. Remember it. Because forgetting the dead is how we fail them twice.